The series begins with a captivating scene from the All-Valley Under-18 Karate Tournament. In the final match, two young boys named Daniel LaRusso and Johnny Lawrence are competing against each other. Johnny is falling behind until his sensei encourages him to cheat and target Daniel's injured leg. Although Johnny gains a temporary advantage, Daniel manages to knock him out with a powerful kick and emerges as the tournament's victor. The story then fast-forwards to the present, where an older and unsuccessful Johnny resides in a rundown motel, working as an electrician to make ends meet. He is a neglectful father and has found himself on the sex offenders list. Uninterested in making new connections, Johnny dismisses his young neighbor Miguel when approached. On his way to work, Johnny comes across an advertisement for Daniel's successful auto company, which sparks his resentment and disgust. At work, Johnny gets into trouble with his boss and ends up losing his job. Frustrated, he seeks solace at a mart, ordering a slice of pizza for dinner. At the mart, Johnny witnesses Miguel being bullied by other teenagers but initially chooses to ignore the situation. However, when they push Miguel onto his car, Johnny's anger boils over, and he unleashes his karate skills, defeating the bullies and astonishing Miguel. Unfortunately, Johnny's actions attract the attention of the police, leading to his arrest. After his release from jail the following day, Miguel expresses gratitude to Johnny for saving him and implores him to teach karate. Initially reluctant, Johnny returns home but encounters his stepfather, Sid, and Sid's nurse, Rhonda. Sid, who has always been tough on Johnny, lectures him for his lackluster life before storming off with Rhonda. While watching TV to distract himself from his troubles, Johnny sees yet another advertisement for Daniel's company, which triggers his anger, resulting in him smashing the TV. Determined to clear his mind, he embarks on a drive and finds himself at the All-Valley Sports Arena, where he once competed against Daniel. As Johnny reminisces about his past, a reckless car full of rowdy teenagers crashes into his parked car. Enraged, Johnny confronts the teens, but they manage to escape. To his dismay, Johnny's car won't start, leading him to call a mechanic. However, he soon discovers that the mechanic works for Daniel's company. The next day, Johnny reluctantly visits Daniel's showroom to retrieve his car, attempting to avoid running into his arch-nemesis. Unfortunately, he encounters Daniel, who introduces him to his employees and subtly ridicules him. Daniel offers to repair Johnny's car for free, but Johnny declines the offer, although Daniel insists he take a souvenir plant from Daniel's auto group. While Daniel fetches the plant, Johnny learns that the teenage girl who wrecked his car is Daniel's daughter, Samantha. This, coupled with Daniel's condescending behavior, moves Johnny, and he decides to turn his life around. Returning home, Johnny agrees to become Miguel's sensei, leasing a space and starting his own dojo. On his way to work, Daniel comes across Johnny's dojo, triggering nostalgic memories. Inside the studio, Johnny begins teaching Miguel, his only student. It is revealed that Miguel suffers from asthma, but Johnny pushes him to set aside his weaknesses. Soon, a representative from the city health department visits Johnny and provides him with a list of requirements to open an exercise studio. The official explains the necessary paperwork and basic prerequisites, promising to return for an inspection in a week. Meanwhile, at LaRusso's home, the family, excluding Samantha, gathers for a party. Daniel attempts to engage his video game-obsessed son, Anthony, in physical activities but fails. He expresses his frustrations to his wife, Amanda, but she convinces him to let their son be. Samantha, on the other hand, hosts a secret party for her new group of friends at the family home. Daniel unexpectedly returns home early and discovers the party. Enraged, he embarrasses Samantha in front of her friends and kicks them out. This leads to an argument between Daniel and Amanda regarding their children's upbringing. Daniel eventually realizes that embarrassing Samantha in front of her friends won't guide her in the right direction. He reconciles with his daughter, and during their bonding moment, Samantha confides in him about her boyfriend, Kyla. The following day at school, Miguel joins his new friends Dimitri and Eli in the cafeteria. Samantha and her friends catch Miguel's attention, and he attempts to approach them. However, when Kyla and his friends join Samantha's group, Miguel retreats to his own table. Later, As Johnny teaches Miguel the fundamentals of Cobra Strike, he receives an unexpected call from Robbie's vice principal, who reveals that Robbie was caught with drugs. Concerned, Johnny tries to reason with his son, but Robbie shows no respect and ends the conversation abruptly. Frustrated, Johnny returns to Miguel and instructs him to imagine his enemy while striking a training dummy. Miguel follows his sensei's instructions and repeatedly strikes the dummy while picturing Kyla's face. At Daniel's house, Kyla joins the family for dinner, and they engage in conversation. Daniel discovers that Johnny fought and defeated Kyla and his friends, which upsets Daniel. He confronts Johnny, warning him to stay away from Sam's friends. Johnny questions the kind of company Sam is keeping, further fueling the tension between them. Miguel's house is shown in the next scene, where he practices punches and listens to loud music. His grandmother interrupts him, and they have dinner together. She notices bruises on his hand and asks about them, but Miguel hesitates to explain. Before he can speak, his grandmother interrupts him, diverting the conversation. Later, Miguel practices intensely at the studio, repeatedly punching the training dummy with all his might. Meanwhile, Johnny contemplates his business and looks at some papers before glancing at the whiteboard. He asks Miguel if he knows anyone who might be interested in joining their karate classes but receives no response. Miguel then asks Johnny about learning kicks, and Johnny suggests there is still time for him to join that aspect of their training. At Daniel's school, a teacher discusses the impact of cyberbullying on mental health. Although most students appear disinterested, Miguel educates his friends about their karate lessons, but Dimitri is unenthusiastic. The teacher concludes her speech by announcing the upcoming Halloween dance and encourages everyone to dress up. Alicia, whom Sam's friends consider a nerd, shares her costume idea with Sam but is met with body shaming. Sam feels sorry for Alicia's treatment. Meanwhile, Johnny works tirelessly to attract more students to his karate studio. He hires a homeless woman he previously encountered at a mini-mart to hold a Cobra Kai sign for increased advertising. Johnny distributes and posts flyers around the neighborhood but becomes disheartened when he receives no response. Daniel enters Sam's room in search of her but realizes she is in the shower. While leaving, he notices her laptop receiving notifications, capturing his attention. He covertly accesses Kyla and Sam's chat conversation. When his wife arrives and interrupts him, Daniel pretends he was checking the Wi-Fi on Sam's laptop and leaves. Meanwhile, Johnny returns to his studio, disappointed, only to find the homeless woman eating her food there. Miguel waits outside, and Johnny reluctantly allows him in. Miguel shows Johnny a webpage he created for Cobra Kai and discusses marketing strategies. Inspired by Miguel's enthusiasm, Johnny begins to see a glimmer of hope. Miguel receives the call from his mother, which he ignores, catching Johnny's attention due to the changed caller tune. Johnny smirks and asks Miguel to meet him at midnight for kick training. At Sam's home, the family gathers at the dining table. Sam expresses her remorse for Alicia's mistreatment but also shares her reluctance to dress up for the Halloween dance. Daniel decides to join Sam at the party, much to her chagrin. Despite the initial tension, Sam and Daniel reconcile, and she confides in him about her boyfriend, Kyla. The next day, Miguel joins his friends Dimitri and Eli in the school cafeteria. Sam's group catches Miguel's attention, and he attempts to approach them. However, when Kyla and his friends join the group, Miguel retreats to his own table. Shortly after, Johnny and Miguel meet in the bathroom, overhearing Kyla talking about his encounter with Sam and her father. It becomes evident that Kyla had ulterior motives. Miguel defends his friends, leading to a confrontation with Kyla. Miguel stands up to him but ultimately faces defeat as the other bullies overpower him. Meanwhile, Johnny watches Robbie, who now works at a Techtown service center. A middle-aged man approaches Robbie and hands over a damaged laptop for repair. Robbie explains the technicalities to the man, who seems uninterested and leaves the laptop behind, promising to return in an hour. Robbie asks for the laptop's password to log in but quickly discards a piece of paper that has his father's image on it. He leaves with his friends on skateboards. In another scene, Johnny, intoxicated, wanders the streets. He observes a street artist and trades his beverage cans for spray paint. At Daniel's dealership, he confronts Tom Cole, his business rival, about stealing his ideas. Tom ridicules Daniel, leading to a confrontation that ends with Daniel back-kicking his bubble tea, leaving everyone stunned. As Johnny packs up his trophies and belongings, Miguel visits the studio and informs him that his mother has agreed to the karate training. The episode concludes with Daniel deducing the person responsible for